And now it is so my pleasure to have Hazzan Fradkin share a Devar Torah this morning, and he really is someone who needs no introduction for us. But I'll just say that we are so lucky all the time to have his Torah that comes out through his music, his prayer, how he explains his music and teaches us about music and about Torah and about being a religious person and being someone who is faithful. And now it's really a special opportunity to have his Torah in the form of a Devar Torah this morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom. If ordinary milk comes from ordinary cows, where does chocolate milk come from? Brown cows, naturally. If that's so, then today's parsha must be the tractate of strawberry milk. I thought this was a funny and engaging way to begin a sermon about the red heifer. But to my shock, I discovered that, according to the Washington Post, as many as 23 million people believe that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. It was also a top search question on Google when I searched chocolate milk, brown cows. That's alarming and kind of unsurprising when you consider the current state of our country. But putting aside political fodder, this parsha, Chukat, presents us with one of the strangest and most bizarre rituals in all of the Torah. In order for a person to become ritually purified from contact with a dead body, they must take part of a mixture containing the ashes of the red cow, the red heifer, and use it to, para aduma, and use it to purify themselves, lest they be cut off from the people. I have questions. Actually, lots of people do, or they have commentary, including Rashi, Maimonides, and Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, and others. Rashi says that, quote, the law of the para aduma, the red heifer, is unquestionable, as it falls into the category of chok, a law from God that is not to be interpreted, but only followed. Maimonides spends about 15 chapters of his Sefer Tahara, the Book of Purity, on this mysterious red cow, telling us critically that the calf must be used at some point in its third or fourth year of life, lest its hairs turn black. I have questions too. Where do you find a red cow? Apparently, there was a Jewish farmer in Teaneck, New Jersey, some 10 years ago, who claimed to possess a pink calf and was offered up to $1 million for it. Maybe it turned black and white before he could sell it. More recently, in January of 2025, some farmers in Shiloh, in Israel, imported some red Angus cattle from Texas, and so far the caretakers claim that these cattle are kosher red heifers. Wow, who knew? But still, the existence of a red heifer is considered extremely rare, and there's no record of one being sacrificed in the last 2,000 years. According to the Mishnah, there were only ever 9 red heifer sacrifices, and 7 of them successful. I don't know what made the other 2 unsuccessful. Please don't ask me follow-up questions. Which makes the presence of this commandment even more bizarre. Unlike the, quote, dolphin skins the Israelites were commanded to use in the making of the tabernacle, this near mythical creature can't be translated into something natural. We're not going to find out that maybe the Torah didn't mean red cow, it meant young cow. It's an almost unobtainable being that is paired with an unquestionable law. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs points out the legal nature of this law as well, and questions why it's stuck halfway through Numbers rather than given a more prominent place near the book's beginning. His explanation comes back to the law's essence. It's a directive, not a statute whose performance or enactment can be questioned. Sachs continues with another question, and I'm paraphrasing. If the laws of purity, especially in the context of the red heifer, are artificial and frankly irrational, what is their purpose? Sachs's answer is that, quote, death is defiling. We do not want to associate ourselves with death. Judaism at its core is a culture of life. Why is this? Well, for one thing, mitzvot cannot be performed by the dead, and much of our lives as Jews are guided by God's commandments. In Psalm 6, the author writes, "Return, O Lord, rescue my soul, save me for the sake of your loving kindness, for there is no memory of you in death. In the grave, who will thank you?" Perhaps this is why the purification process can only be done with a near mythical animal. The animal is so exceedingly rare that functionally there is no cure for contamination with the dead. So where does this fear of contamination really come from? We know that Judaism has its roots in Near Eastern Canaanite rituals. Years ago, I read James Michener's The Source. Anybody else read that? A sweeping novel about the history of the land of Israel, tracing the development of religion and society in the land through the life of an imagined Canaanite city appropriately named Makor, or Source. Michener's city bustles with life, and we meet the Ur family, who make their living from beekeeping. Ur visits the prostitutes for luck with Asherah and fertility, and he and his wife conceive a son. Later, when the city is threatened, the priests demand that all the firstborn sons be sacrificed to Moloch to protect the city. Without telling his wife, Ur takes his baby son and gives him to the priests. This was a haunting scene that is based on archaeological evidence that the ancient Canaanites, along with the Phoenicians as well, routinely participated in child sacrifice. Rooted as it is in Canaanite culture and language with shared words like Melech, Malak, Ashrei, Asherah, Astart, and Baal, along with Shalom, Shalem, El, Mot, Tzedek, and Shelah, it is not surprising in the least that the Israelite culture's primary text, the Torah, and Tanakh as well, concerns itself in many instances with the rejection of child sacrifice. None is more striking than the story of Isaac's near-death experience at his father's own hands. In the story, the Torah overturns the Canaanite theology of child for mercy and ends the story with God showing mercy for the child. Interestingly, the Hebrew word for king, melech, is based upon the Canaanite word molech, which meant child sacrifice. Perhaps the linguistic change follows the moral one, in that a melech is a deity who needs no such immoral acts to be worshipped, whereas molech represented the brutal bargaining of a primitive people. In this light, our people is one that has rejected immorality, namely the worship of death, to celebrate life with urgency. This is reflected in the first mitzvah of the Torah, pru or vu, be fruitful and multiply, and the prayers of Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Hannah to become pregnant, and it's reflected also in Parshat Nitzavim, in the famous exhortation from God, Ha'edoti bachem hayom et hashamayim v'et ha'aretz, ha'chayim v'hamavet natati lefanecha, ha'bracha v'ha'klala, uvacharta b'chayim, lema'an tichye ata v'zarecha. I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day. I have put before you life and death, blessing and curse. Choose life if you and your offspring would live. As our monotheistic impulse rose, it seemed to do so in direct relation to a celebration of life and rejection of human sacrifice. Tragically, our stubborn insistence on preserving our tradition in the face of change has led many enemies over the course of our existence to threaten our well-being. This has served to further strengthen our bond to the sanctity of life. Our love for life is demonstrable in our music with famous anthems like Am Yisrael Chai, To Life from Fiddler on the Roof, and Chai, Chai, Chai from Eurovision's 1983 contest, popularized by the great singer Ofra Chaza. More recently, it's been recast as an anthem for survivors of terror, rendered beautifully in a recent video released by the Sochnut, the Jewish agency, with Neda Barzilai, a recent Eurovision winner. Chai isn't just a word. It's a symbol we wear on our necks and shout at toasts on a Friday night, at weddings and B'nai Mitzvah, and many other life-affirming celebrations. On the surface, it's a simple thing to choose life. Who would choose death when given an option to live? All of creation has within it a will to thrive and reproduce. Life has shown its ability to survive and thrive even in the Earth's most extreme environments. Maybe some of you have actually visited Antarctica and seen the emperor penguins, but most of us probably just saw and heard Morgan Freeman talking about it. Unfortunately, not all humans are life-affirming. We have seen this in Israel's 20-month-long battle with Hamas in Gaza and with the more recent war in Iran. Recently, in a podcast with Sam Harris, the Israeli historian Chaviv Reteg Gur shared the story of a video he saw on social media criticizing Israel for protecting its people during Iran attacks, claiming, quote, the Palestinians have no bomb shelter to run to. Gur points out brilliantly, in fact, Gaza contains the largest underground bomb shelter in the world, except no civilian is ever allowed inside. Hamas has used the entirety of Gaza as their shield, as they hide safely in the underground. The difference between Israel and Hamas couldn't be more clear. In one country, they build bomb shelters into every home under the Civil Housing Code. In the other, they build miles of bomb shelters for terrorists and leave the civilians exposed. We see it as well in the hostage exchanges, which often include ratios of 50, 100, or even 1,000 to 1. So Israel's focus on life, especially in a neighborhood that thrives on death, is especially profound. Israel was born out of the rejection of a death cult, and we continue to reject death in every step we take to protect our homeland. In the Chai video, Netta begins singing the song alone on a patch of untilled earth. As she begins singing the chorus, Chai, 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 she is walking on the earth, and other feet begin to join her. She continues, "This is the song which my grandfather sang yesterday to my father, and today I sing." As she reaches the Chai repetition, sprouts appear in the earth, and she is joined by dozens of families singing with her. Each family in that video has had a family member killed by terror, and yet they smile and sing in a video of their love for life, their refusal to give up. It is a completely irrational reaction to loss, and yet it is what our tradition teaches, uvacharta v'chayim, choose life. Jonathan Sacks taught that this resistance to death may be irrational, but it is fundamentally Jewish. And so as we think back to the para aduma, the irrational law that asks us to be in rejection of death, to purify ourselves with life, may we continue to be irrationally joyful and embracing of life always. Am Yisrael Chai. Shabbat Shalom. See ya.